To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave para peeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Reverend Sean Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Reverend Sean, the Rev. Welcome to my haunted house, my very haunted house. We're going to start today with an opening prayer and a candle lighting for the Cannon family, especially Mr. Cannon, the father, the male matriarch of the family. From the time that he reached out to me almost a year ago, in the past year with everything else that's been going on, as a father, he's endured just about everything you can imagine a father could endure and go through in terms of spiritual warfare right amongst his family and them all needing to circle the wagons and fight back quite a bit. And what I asked him to do for me when we first met, since it is the year of St. Joseph, that he petition to God to send St. Joseph into his life and into his family's life and intervene and be their guardian saint. I can't think of anything more powerful than St. Joseph. He is the man that God chose to foster God's son, Jesus, into his, from a child to his adulthood up to his crucifixion, which is next Friday, a matter of fact, Good Friday. But when they did that, things dramatically turned around for the better, and they're doing much, much better now. So my opening prayer is a prayer to St. Joseph, which I want to offer up a prayer to St. Joseph. But it's also for the Cannon family, and especially Mr. Cannon. And then I'm going to light a candle for them. If any of you want to add any of your own positive love and light and good vibe to this, or receive any of the good vibe from this prayer, just reach out, touch your computer screen, bow your head, and close your eyes. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Glorious Saint Joseph, you were chosen by God to be the foster father of Jesus, the most pure spouse of Mary, ever virgin, and the head of the Holy Family. You have been chosen by Christ's vicar as the heavenly patron and protector of the church founded by Christ. Protect the sovereign pontiff and all bishops and priests united with him. Be the protector of all who labor for souls amid the trials and tribulations of this life. And grant that all peoples of the world may follow Christ and the church he founded. Dear Saint Joseph, accept the offering I make to you. Be my father, protector, and guide in the way of salvation. Obtain for me purity of heart and a love for the spiritual life. Amen. Okay, and you guys know how I roll here. Families get the big candle. So I'm going to light this candle for the Cannon family. May the Holy Spirit enter the lives of the Cannon family, every member, intervene, protect them, and remain with them for the rest of their lives and on into the next journey. Cannon family, your candle will stay here and enjoy the show with me until it's over, and then I will take it into the room where all the candles are burning, and it will burn until it burns out. So thank you for entrusting me in guiding you guys over the past few months through some of your trials and tribulations in the spiritual realm, and I'm glad you guys are doing a lot better. Guys, if there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, you can find out at our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. That's our website. When you go to the website, remember that my wife and I do not charge for our ministry work. I know it's tough. Times are tough. But if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, send in a small donation. My wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I promise you it will be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts, and we will put it to good use, I assure you. In addition to being an ordained exorcist, I'm also a spiritual advisor, intuitive coach. If you're having issues of a spiritual nature, not necessarily attached to the paranormal, and you would like to make an appointment to speak to the Rev there about those issues, you can do it at the website. Don't leave the website without navigating back over to the page entitled the WSE course/book. And on that page, you'll notice the ghost store. And on the ghost store, you'll find cool things to purchase, like this throwback ghostbegone.biz mug, a nice t-shirt like the one hanging behind me, if you like that kind of stuff. But further down, you'll run into my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, a true story inspired by spirit and divine intervention. And I quote, the scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But please don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. I know you'll love it. Nobody's knocked on my door and thrown their copy back at me. But the beautiful thing about my book is that part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and that is a beautiful thing. And if you've already purchased the book, you're a part of that support group, so God bless you. Scroll a little further down and you'll find the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I am a founding member. I offer a 12-week online college-level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And if you are a warrior for Christ, a spiritual warrior, and you long and have a hunger for and feel a calling to want more knowledge about how to correctly draw your line in the sand, make a stand, and put up a good fight against good, true evil, God forbid it ever comes calling, that's the course for you. All of my students graduate and they receive a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special, blessed parting gifts that you can only get from the Rev. So you can enroll in the course there, or if you just want to know a little bit more about the course, there is a Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page, and you can go there and read a little bit more about the course. Please keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers. Thank you. I always tell people it's really cool being Catholic. We have action figures. This is Saint Francis. He is the patron saint of all of God's creatures. Whoever is righteous has regard for the life of his beast, but the mercy of the wicked is cruel. Proverbs. I am a believer in the foot, Squatchy, the forest demon, Sasquatch. I believe he is a creature of God. I believe he's a creature of flesh and blood. I also do believe that there is a supernatural element attached to the creature and his legend. My guest today is a good friend. I've known him for a while. He's one of the most knowledgeable people that I know on all things Squatchy. Very intelligent, has had his own encounters, and I know you guys are going to love him. We're going to talk a little bit about some of our own personal encounters, along with showing you guys some evidence. And for all of you diehard believers, it'll just be like, old school. But for those of you on the fence, you'll just have to make your decision on which side of the fence you fall on after the end of this show. But I'm going to bring my friend on right now. Brothers and sisters, please welcome to the show, Karl Sup. Karl, are you with us, brother?
I am. How are you today?
There you are, man. You and I talk a lot, emails, private messages, Facebook, what have you. Yeah, I haven't had you like this one-on-one on either one of my shows in a long time, so I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I love you. You know, I respect you, and I find some of your encounters with Sasquatch to be phenomenal, intriguing, eye-opening, hair-raising, all of the above. But you're just a really cool dude. I'm glad to introduce you to my paranormal ministry family. And let's get started. I just want to ask you some important things. First of all, I know you're a family man. How have you and your family and everybody close to you that you love and care about been hanging in there during this very ugly pandemic, which we're now in for well over a year now?
Absolutely. You know, we've been good. Thankfully, no one's in the family has gotten it. My in-laws have gotten vaccinations, and I still haven't gotten mine yet. I'm still waiting to try to get scheduled for an appointment if I can get one. But eventually, yep, I'll probably get one. But no, everybody's been pretty healthy, but been very vigilant on washing hands. And when you do a store run, it's you maintain that ritual of following simple guidelines.
Absolutely. We are getting a little bit of a feedback and a little bit of a breakup there, at least on my end. I don't know if you can hear it or if Adrian can hear it. Maybe it'll work itself out. Maybe I might even have you switch up to if you got another mic with you. Not a deal breaker, but maybe if we keep getting that, I might have you switch from the mic you have on now. I think your computer mic possibly be, in addition to your earbuds, might be trying to pick up your voice or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, we're talking about, I'm not judging anybody. I just got my vaccine Wednesday, my first one of two. I go back on the 21st of next month. And the reason, I was on the fence about that for quite some time. But the reason why I finally went ahead and did it, I work in the medical field. I'm a veterinary technician by day. I'm a minister 24/7, but I'm a veterinary technician by day. My wife is the office manager at the same hospital I work at. She got both her vaccines. She did very well. All of the doctors we work with and many of our coworkers went and got the vaccine. So that helped me make that decision. But you know what? I also did it because, I've had some underlying health issues over the years. I'm in that age group, the high risk age group. And I thought, you know what? I want to do my small little part as being a good human being to try and protect other humans. So it is what it is. Funny thing though, Wednesday I got the shot in the afternoon. I woke up in the middle of the night, in the wee hours of Thursday morning, quite nauseous. And then I went back to sleep, woke up Thursday morning. I could barely raise my left arm where I got the shot above my shoulder. My neck was stiff, and it felt like somebody punched me right in the middle of my back. Today, much better, but thought that was very odd. Where do you stand on the vaccine?
Well, so I had actually talked with my doctor, and he had recommended, at least for me, he thought that the better solution would be the Johnson & Johnson one, even though overall it's not as effective. The technology of the Johnson & Johnson shot is the same technology that's been used for 70 years with vaccines. So as far as it being testing on it and so forth, it's
yeah, we're great. Can you hear that on your end, Carl? Maybe it's me. You can't hear that?
Is this better?
Let's try your the other mic you had before the earbuds.
All right. Can you hear me better?
I can hear you. I can.
Okay. All right. We'll run with this for a little bit. See how that.
It almost seems like you're in an echo chamber, and I'm wondering if either your mic is too loud or if it's trying to pick my voice up. I'm not sure. I'm not too knowledgeable about all of this sort of stuff. But let's go with it and see what happens. I want everybody to hear what you have to say, and so I just wanted to try and get that fixed. Not a whole lot we can do. It is what it is. But yeah, the vaccines. We'll see what happens. I know a lot of friends that got it, a lot that aren't going to get it. I don't judge. To each his own. We'll see where that happens. And I was thinking the other day, everybody's talking about we're not going to, until we get a body, a Bigfoot body, no one's going to, in power, the powers that be aren't going to come out and admit that he exists or it exists. And wouldn't it be, who God only knows what their immune system is like and what they are and aren't immune to. Wouldn't it be terrible? You finally do get a body, and it's because one perished from being exposed to this pandemic. I know that's a little out there, a little bit of out there of an idea, but crazier things have happened. That would be terrible.
I'm not sure that they have the same as far as their immune systems. I'm not sure that they would be, susceptible to the same diseases as us. At least that's my assumption. Because otherwise, a lot of these closer encounters, I would think they'd even be more afraid to get close. They seem to, come to campsites and interact, and if there was a fear of them of contracting something from us, I would think that they would not, that they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't handle our things if they thought that, I handled that thing and then got sick, and then later on they. I would think that they would be a learned experience if they were having that, getting sick from us, at least.
Absolutely. Well, I'm a big believer in it. I don't know if I've ever shared my my personal encounter with them or not. If we have time later on, I'll do that. Yours is much more phenomenal. Where the last time you've gone squatching or you and I know many of the people in the same cryptozoology circle. Where is the latest stance on, for lack of a better term, baiting? I mean, people still bring along huge bags of apples with them. I know guys that swear by peanut butter, jars of peanut butter, and just leaving them out with the lid off. Me, I'm always the think outside the box kind of guy. What can I, what is almost darn near irresistible to me? And I'll tell you what it is. And I'm taking one with me the next time I squatch. I'm going to stop and buy a truckload of them. It is fresh Cinnabons.
Oh, that would do it. I've seen amazing success with pancakes, especially with syrup on them.
Yeah.
And these are other stories where it wasn't like gifted. It was just left on the dinner table in the campsite, and it was wrapped in foil, and they left all the pancakes just sitting out there. They were just going to heat them up the next morning for breakfast, and the next morning they came out there, and now you would think if it was a raccoon, they'd sniff it and they'd run off with it, or a squirrel, or what, No, this foil was carefully folded back. The pancakes were all eaten, and foil was folded back. I've seen the same thing, like they had them in in the Southwest here, almost everyone has one, but a tortilla warmer. It's like an insulated circular thing, and people taking camping. Extra pancakes were made. They put them into that tortilla warmer to keep them overnight, and the next day the lid had been removed from the tortilla warmer, all the pancakes gone, and the lid placed back on top again. So they definitely like that. Apples are very good too, but I'm thinking with their sweet tooth side, I think that cinnamon might be a good addition to that. But I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it should only be organic or whatever. But I'm telling you right now that they, having studied urban, them in urban settings, and I'm talking right close to very populated areas, out in Long Island, out in the Chicago suburbs, outside of St. Louis, they are very opportunistic and omnivore. So whatever they find in the trash, they are going to do. So.
Yeah, if we have time before the end of the show, I have a urban story that might surprise you, maybe not, but I've heard that, and I'm hearing more and more stories about the urban Squatch. I find it very believable, just so people know. What do you and if this is an odd question and you'd rather move on off the topic, that's fine. But I know there's people out there that probably want to know what it is you do for a living. Everybody knows that I'm a minister 24/7, veterinary technician, and if I was going out squatching, that's not the only thing I do. But I ask you this question because it leads right into the story I'm going to ask you, which is actually job related for you at one point. So tell everybody a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So I've been, when I was 16 years old, I actually started consulting in software, custom software. Believe it or not, this is back in the early days, pretty much before the 5 1/4 inch floppy, and over the years, now I'm a software implementer for major Fortune 500 companies. So I keep pretty busy doing that and making sure that, for the most part, supply chain software. So trying to keep things, companies improve so they can keep things on the shelves and have the right products in the right places at the right time. So.
Well, you're a very intelligent man, very articulate man. And I have to ask you, I know the story that I'm going to ask you to share with my ministry family here, but how does someone like you you're just not the typical, and I'm going to get some hate mail for this, you're just not the typical squatcher, Bigfoot guy, cryptozoologist type cat. How did that whole thing get laid in your lap and you get put on this journey, the passion, the interest, in the direction you took with it? How did all of that fall into place?
And I know you know the story, but going back, even when I was a kid, I remember my dad had a subscription to Argosy magazine, and I remember when the issue in 1968 came out. Was it February, I think, of the Patterson Gimlin encounter, and photos and those excerpts from the film. And I remember that really intrigued me, that, wow, something like this could exist. And through the years, it wasn't like I was obsessed or anything, but, it was something that I thought, well, it could be possible. I'll probably never encounter one in my life, because I'm never going to go to Northern California or Oregon or Washington State and research like that. That was at least my thought. So fast forward, I got into hiking and camping in Arizona, and I ended up spending all kinds of, almost every weekend out in the wild, walking around and hiking and, camping out, just, and it was, I'd go 15, 20 miles into a wilderness area and just be camped out there by myself or take a couple friends with. And there was odd things that happened. Now that I think back, I'm like, I know exactly what that was. But in 1982, two friends of mine, we had he had a little inflatable Zodiac boat, and we took that out onto a lake up on the Mogollon Rim in Arizona. And there's always been the legend of the Mogollon monster. When I was in Boy Scouts, I remember that was always told, the Mogollon monster. Watch out, the Mogollon monster will get you. And never gave it a real second thought. Was just guessing that was a tale that they told to scare people. But the when we got across, we got to the lake, and then we had to find a camping spot. We go clear across the lake. So we loaded up the Zodiac with the tent and food and everything, and we went across the lake. We found a spot in this cove on the far side, and we set up and we cooked and we ate and we had a good time. About 10 p.m. we turned in, and about 3 a.m. something howled so loud that all three of us came ripping out of the tent. And we were trying to decide if we should just get the heck out of there. Didn't know what it was, and finally we had convinced ourselves it was a large coyote or something, and ended up going back to sleep. But I remember sitting up in the tent for probably an hour, just staring at the top of the tent, And anyway, but we just broke that off, and then we didn't have anything else the rest of that weekend. And then fast forward from 82 all the way up till 2008, I'm sitting in the living room and I'm watching TV with my son, and a Messing with Sasquatch commercial came on, and I started laughing. I was the where Sasquatch was hitchhiking, and anyway, so I was laughing, and my son says, I looked over and he's not laughing, and I said, "Why aren't you laughing?" He said, "Well, it's not reality based." And I started into a debate. How do you know it's not reality based? Well, in all his 16 years, he's never seen one, and it's been proven that they're wrong. And I said, it's never been proven. I'm like, there's the possibility. So finally, I relayed what happened in 1982 to me, and I said, that could have been one. I don't know. And he says, well, in Arizona, Dad, come on. And I said, well, I don't know. Let's Google that. So we went out and Googled Arizona Bigfoot, and the first website that came up was the BFRO, Bigfoot Field Research Organization. And when we went out and looked at all the different sightings and reports that were filed for Arizona, and when we got down to an audio clip from called the Ohio Howl, I played that, and it was like I don't know what they call it, but it's not muscle memory, but audio memory. It completely flooded back, and literally all the hair stood up on my arm. My son saw that, and then he was like, "Oh, I think he was starting to think, well, maybe there's something to that." So I saw, oh, they've got an expedition in 3 weeks. We go on that. So we go up on that expedition, and it just so happened that Matt Moneymaker was running the expedition here and in Arizona, and we went up there, and that very first night we went out into this area where there'd just been a family had reported an incident just right. It was only within maybe 10 miles from where the main campsite was set up for the expedition. And we went over there, and Matt stayed in the center camp, and the group split into two on either side of the hillside. And when he did a howl, there was a response, one from the north 7 seconds after he called, and then there was another one maybe followed by 5 seconds after that from the northwest, and then almost 15 seconds later, one from the southwest. And that was the moment that I was like, I'm hooked. I need to know, what is that?
Yeah.
What are they? And being of analytical and logic logic-based and scientific mind, I had to find out. So I went about following all the guidelines that were set up by the BFRO, and that involves a lot of howling, which with my very deep voice, you can imagine that I can mimic them pretty well. So I was getting responses from them, but I wasn't really satisfied with with following those methods completely, because those were all based on assumptions that the Sasquatch are North American great apes. And in my opinion, and from my my sightings and encounters with them, they are anything but that. Yes, if you want to call them a great ape, then we're great apes. So the group that our little research group that I'm with, we prefer to call them North American ancient Aboriginal peoples. So, and they're smart, and I know you even made a comment of early on about the of a paranormal aspect to them. I never really encountered that until the last couple of years, where I've had an experience that I can't explain. So obviously that really truly falls into a paranormal aspect. The last sighting I had was last May of 2020. The pandemic really has reduced my travel for work, so I'm not out in the field every weeknight like I was. But I did get up onto the Mogollon Rim in May when they had the forest open. Well, they closed part of the forest. If you can, I don't understand that, but I knew we were being watched throughout the whole camping trip, but they really weren't interacting. I was in a new area, so these were probably new individuals that were in the area, but it was the first time that I tried to actually sleep in my Yukon rather than pitching a tent. So very last night, pretty much feeling that I was being watched, even as I was getting ready for bed to climb into the Yukon. I actually just turned to the forest and I just said out loud in English, if you could come down and leave a handprint on my car. So, and it was about 11 p.m. I went in, crawled into bed. So I was wearing a Fitbit on my wrist, and when there was a little gap, and Fitbit uses like a green laser to read read your biometrics, and and about 3 a.m. I kind of woke up. I don't know why I woke up, but I woke up, and as I moved, the Fitbit activated, so the green laser turned on, and it did. As I was opening my eyes, there was a face in the window. And it was only 2 feet from my face. Okay, so it wasn't like unmistakable. And so I actually I woke up. I looked out the window. I didn't see anything moving around out there. I ended up going back to sleep. So 5:30, I wake up, and there's this massive handprint on the outside of that window where the face had been. The handprint from the tip of, there we go, from the tip of the pinky up here all the way down to the base of the thumb on the corner was 14 inches. And the tip of the pinky was 1.25 inches wide. So it was insane. And then it turned out that my friend's Suburban also had a handprint on the hood, but it was the same measurement from the pinky to the heel of the palm was 11 inches. So it was a different individual. And in the dust on his print, you could actually see the fine hairs going up the arm off the side. It was, amazing. But the fact that I actually asked for it and they came and did it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Extremely intelligent. I'm so on board with that. Do me a big favor. Call me crazy here. Do you have, I'm thinking about having you go back to the earbuds again, but do you have an actual volume setting for your mic? It almost as if your mic is trying to grab everything and it's getting confused between background noise and your voice.
Let me see.
Some computers have that, have a way to actually adjust mic volume, some not.
Let's see. I'm looking for it.
We'll tell you what, we're about halfway through the show. Why don't you go back to the earbuds? We'll see what happens with those. What I'm going to do now is I want to make sure I show some of this evidence that I have here.
Do that. I'm going to grab also my power cord. So hang on.
Sure. Brothers and sisters, here we go. Craig. Hi, Craig. Why do you think there is no bones or skeleton remains? Craig, that is a phenomenal question. And I'm going to ask Karl's opinion on that. Me not having a clue what I'm talking about, this is my take on that. I've seen so much time-lapse footage of things that have died out in the wilderness and how quickly nature takes all of that back. Hair, skin, bones, intestines, you name it. Everything that walks and flies and everything just on this carcass. And in just within a matter of hours, sometimes these remains are gone. Having said that, Karl was talking about how intelligent they are. And I do believe, I also do buy into the theory that they bury their own. So there's that. And I would imagine there's a lot of other theories. It looks like we momentarily lost Karl. Maybe he needs to reboot and come back in there. But what I'm going to do when he comes back, I do have some evidence here. Karl and I do run in a lot of the same circles of a lot of cryptozoologists, diehard squatchers, guys that have been in the field for a long time. And over the years, I've been sent pictures. I didn't upload any of them into the computer, and I'm not going to, give anybody's name out because I didn't really ask anybody for their permission to do that. But I printed them out. I don't have a fancy color printer, but I did print out the photos, and I'm going to show them to Karl, and I'm going to show them to you guys, and have you guys make up your own mind if anybody wants to type in a message on what they think a particular photo is or isn't, what have you. And if we don't get to your question or your comment before the end of the show, you can always reach out to Karl or myself afterwards, and we'll get back to you. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good.
Okay, here we go.
Any better?
Oh my gosh, you sound phenomenal right now.
Oh, good.
I don't want to jinx it. Okay, this is your photo, one of your photos. You've sent me several of just this one item. And this was an encounter you had where you were actually, I am so into the gifting. And I think I have been gifted some stuff too, and I'm going to wait to have you back and do that in a part 2. But I'm going to show this picture now.
Absolutely.
And you can describe to people what that is and where you got it and all that good stuff.
So this was in an area actually in the suburbs of Chicago, in the west suburbs. And it was actually, I believe it was gifted, but it is actually a flute. It's hand carved. It's very rough hewn. And I don't, how they know how to do that, I don't know, but somebody took a lot of effort in order to, ram another stick down the center of that soft material on the inside and use a rock to carve out the holes. And not only there are the holes on the top, but there's a hole on the bottom, just like you would have for your thumb. And it looks like it looks like there's a piece that's actually missing from it, but it was left in an area that I had some exchanges where I was leaving apples for them, and they'd also been leaving what I call glyphs on the ground. Others do as well, call them glyphs, but different arrangements of sticks, and you can tell that they're not. You have to be careful. When you're looking at it, every stick on the ground is obviously not a glyph, but when you look at them, you can tell that they've been broken or fashioned just in order to lay out like that. And in fact, there's times where I've hiked into an area and on the trail there's a glyph, and I take a picture of it and I document it and everything. I go hiking the rest of the time. I come back in on the trail again and the glyph's gone. That was in the trail. So it's this flute is pretty remarkable. And I haven't had any DNA tested or anything like that, but I doubt there'd be any DNA on that, just as being a stick basically laying on the ground.
just out of curiosity, brother, in case I run into this technical difficulties with a future guest, you sound, it's like a different show right now. You sound phenomenal right now. What did you do different?
I changed it to the speaker input. Instead of medium, I did change it to small for the headphones. So,
very interesting. So is that sort of like adjusting the volume in a sense?
I think so, yeah.
Very good. Yeah, like night and day.
Good.
Okay, here's another photo. You may or may not know this gentleman. I'm not going to mention anybody's name. This is out in an area where there's miles and miles and miles of open country. No one's around. I believe he even owns the land. And when he's out surveying, these are like extremely remote areas. One day this wasn't there. The next day it was there. And the only way this could have been manufactured was if someone was able to get out there with heavy machinery and do this. But it's right on the walking path that he frequented going out there. Now, he'd already had sightings and been almost communicating with these things.
Yep. Oh yeah. That was a massive rock stack, and that appeared overnight. He estimated that the smallest pieces were probably weighed about 800 pounds, and the largest ones probably weighed about 1,500, and they were just stacked, just like Tinker Toys. And you can see the stack, the stack was well over. I think he's about 5'10", I think. So that gives you a little reference in that photo. So
that's amazing, man. Come on.
I know.
That's pretty freaking amazing. And I know so many guys now that are being have phenomenal evidence, and they're almost like scared to show it now because the world is so weird and the government is so corrupt, and there's just a lot of times these, and this is what I'm told by my friends of indigenous background, even that say that they have clans on the reservations here in Southern Nevada, that they tell me, you almost you get a love for them, and then you don't want to do anything that's going to bring the heat and the attention down on them. So, sometimes a lot of this stuff they don't come out and tell people because they don't want any harm to come to this creature. So there's a lot of guys like this dude in this picture that keep a lot of the stuff that they discover that have, gifts and things that are presented to them that they don't come out with for that because they're scared to, and I don't blame them.
Yep. And in fact, the even like the Lakota word for them, and I would ruin it, but the Lakota word I know in English translation was more like big brother for Sasquatch.
Absolutely.
But and the same thing, it's like the area that I frequent often in Arizona here, they know me well. They come in when they come in near my campsite, they whistle or they clack, do rock clacks or whatever, but they'll actually let me know that they're there. It's very interesting. I took a friend up in October of 2019, and here we are camping early October. All of a sudden this he steps out in this, and I stepped out of the tent from taking a nap, and one of them whistled to me, and I told him, I said, that's actually a Sasquatch. And I mean, you can hear the difference between a bird making a whistle sound. I mean, you could actually hear the wind going over the lips, Yeah. And, and he said, really? No, he goes, that's a bird. And I said, it's not a bird. And so I said, I literally said in English, whistle again. And almost on command, whistled again. And he whistled back, and between the Sasquatch and my friend, they whistled back and forth for about 5 minutes. And he changed the temper and the tone and the tempo and it was interesting. So he'd be like, and it would mimic him right back. And
let's see if you remember this one. I don't know if you've seen this one.
I have. That was actually found near a mountaintop in northern Idaho by another researcher who is currently recovering, and hopefully he's doing well these days from getting bitten by a cottonmouth.
Oh no!
Yeah, but that sculpture is just an amazing rock sculpture, and why was on top of this mountaintop in Idaho. It's a mystery.
Well, I believe it was carved.
Yes.
By a Squatch. Now,
I think it was as well.
Here's I've got several of these. I just eeny, meeny, miny, mode and picked one of them. But This gentleman sent me several pictures of. He was, like you had one doing some carvings. One day they were there, the next day they were gone. Same situation was happening, along with some attempts of communication in the dirt and stuff. So he thought outside of the box, and he left a notepad and paper out there for a couple of days in this remote area. Came back, got many, many messages. We're talking remote areas. There's nobody else out there. But this is just one example of many of the things that were written down by something on this notepad.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that was, I know that story well. And that book, it initially started out with like a photo of like a dog on one side, and then on the other side they wrote in English DOG, and then initially they started getting a response back, but it was just lines, and they couldn't figure out
lines.
And they couldn't figure out what those lines were. So the next page they had cat, and went through the cat and horse and pig and chicken and everything, and there was these lines. And then after a while there was some, not only it had been written, but it was also tried to write in, like, the word chicken, or I can't remember which one, where there was a transition, but a different individual came up and started writing, who actually knew how to write in English. And that was one of those, that was from that individual that was writing in English. And but those initial lines that were written on those pages actually turned out to be Ogham. And not only was it Ogham, but it also described dog, cat, chicken, horse, written in Ogham. And of course, Ogham, the language Ogham had died out in 4th century BC or AD in Ireland. So why you would find that in central US in 2002, I think, is when that happened. What was writing Ogham out in the woods? I mean,
Yeah.
The randomness is outstanding. That not only that, but a lot of these some of the glyphs that I actually find on the ground as well are Ogham as well.
You're not a small gentleman.
No.
What would you say? Give me a ballpark guesstimation on how big your largest molar is.
Oh gosh.
I'm saying at best a quarter
maybe
inch.
Maybe a half inch
at
is
best.
my biggest. Yeah.
This wasn't canine. This wasn't primate. This wasn't human. Here's almost a 2 1/4 inch, 2 1/4 inch, almost 2 1/2 inch molar.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh yeah. That molar is massive. And I can't remember where that was found though. I can't remember the backstory on that one, but I've seen that photo before.
So many guys you and I know out there have captured some phenomenal stuff, and everybody's like, why don't they, come out with it? Because at this point, it doesn't matter anymore. I've seen guys come out with some of the most astounding evidence you can imagine. But bottom line, until a body's produced, people, the masses just aren't going to buy it. I love the mayor or the governor, somebody who's high up there in Oklahoma's got that $2 million bounty now.
Yeah.
But you've got to bring him in alive and unharmed. Well, that's easier said than done. What I love about it though was it's brought money in tourism wise.
Right.
And it just somebody might pull it off, but I love that. It's another form of thinking outside of the box. Who knows? I love the new show, Expedition Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I am totally a no-kill person. I know that if I was out in the wilderness, brought a rifle just for my own protection, and I saw one out in the wilderness, and I knew, here's my opportunity, here's my chance. All I got to do, get him in the crosshairs, pull the trigger, radio the incident in, have somebody come in there with a helicopter, whatever, to haul this thing out. I know for a fact in my heart of hearts that I would not do it, even though I know I'm going to come back and maybe not even tell anybody about it or tell people about it and be laughed at. I don't care. I'm not killing one.
Yeah, you wouldn't survive actually until the helicopter got there, because where there's one, there's others, and they are a big family unit, and you would be swiftly taken care of. I'll put it that way.
Craig's back. Hi, Craig. Craig wants to know about DNA. Do you know of any?
So yes, there has been quite a bit of DNA. I know that there was a study that was done several years ago with DNA, and it was sequenced. And that report was actually in Zoobank for a long time. I think it's not in there anymore, but it was listed as Homo incognatus was the name that they had it under. But it really, if I recall correctly, the details on that, it was, and the study was run by Melba Ketchum. I think that the DNA was 99.3%, the same as ours. So it's not a big variance at all. And it also showed that they were hybrids between some other unknown primate about 15,000 years ago and a female woman. So that was of Middle Eastern descent, according to the DNA. That, I'm not sure how that, it certainly lends light. I know I have actually some blood samples that are in my freezer that I'm actually talking about getting those actually run through, but I just can't send them to any lab, because a lot of the labs, when they see anything above 99%, they assume that it's just human contamination.
Yeah.
and then dismiss it, or they say, oh, that sample is human. Hair samples, you have to almost have the root in order to get any DNA out of them. I know there's some new DNA testing where they can actually run those through and examine the hair. But obviously, if you look at the hair and there's physical properties that are different from the hair, which they are for Sasquatch, they're the center of the, what do they call that? The medulla. In the center of the hair follicle, or the hair strand, is clear. It's empty, compared to ours, which actually has material. I'm not I'm not an expert on that, but I'm just telling you, there's major differences between their hair and our hair. Even though their hair is fine, it's hair. It's not fur. They're not like bears or, so.
I don't know. We don't have a whole lot of time left. I know that, I don't know if I've shared my personal experience with you or not.
Please do.
I'm in junior high school. It took about 30 minutes drive up into the mountains in Southern California, outside of the San Fernando Valley, to get to this location. Then there was a little off-roading, about another 30 minutes of off-roading, then about an hour of hike to get to this one area. And ultimately the hike ends, and it's an Indian cave where you build a fire and you sit with your friends and you get high and you get drunk and, do whatever and spend the night.
Yep.
I maybe had 3 or 4 beers. I wasn't a big drinker in junior high school, and I might have taken a few hits off of a joint. I wasn't belligerently high out of my mind.
Yeah.
But middle of the night, everybody's asleep, and I have to piss like a racehorse. And I go with a little pin light walking out there, and I walk upon what is like the smell of a dead carcass. And I thought it was either a skunk or I walked up on something dead. And as I'm, about to take care of my business, I have this overwhelming sense of dread and fear come over me. And I just can't move. And I'm staring out into the darkness. My night vision is kicked in. I see 3 big trees, 2 tall trees and a stump. And I happen to notice the middle stump start rocking. And then the middle stump slowly stands up. And whatever it was gigantic. I let loose. I urinated in my pants. Couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't do anything. Couldn't really see what it was. But then this thing turned to its left, my right, walked off, didn't make a sound, not a branch crack, not a tree crumble, nothing, and walked off and was gone. I found myself all of a sudden be able to move, went back to camp, never told the story till about 5 years ago because it was freaked me out so bad. At first I thought it was a bear and I was about to die, but I realize now, talking to a lot of guys like you, wasn't a bear, wasn't a big mountain man.
No.
But real quick here, before we run out of time, I went down to hold hands with and pray with a lot of the homeless here in the tunnels. We have miles and miles and miles and miles and miles of underground tunnels here under Vegas. And I went there for that purpose. Take some food, make some friends, pray with some people. The furthest thing from my mind was to talk about anything supernatural. And I started having these people tell me these stories about what they referred to as the hide and seekers. They said there's a race of something down here in the tunnels living among us. And the people, the homeless down there, they're even scared to talk about it for fear of retribution from these things. But there's areas of the tunnels they already know that they're not supposed to go in because those things live in there. And the only thing I can think, they said they're huge.
Yeah.
They're like gigantic, smart bears from what a couple of these guys, and these guys are like, they're not alcoholics, they're not drug addicts, they just are homeless people. Some of them are families, and they all tell the stories. They're all scared to death. So that falls in line with your urban story.
In fact, and the tunnels, as far as the tunnels, they were using those actually underneath the northern parkway on Long Island. They were using those to transit from one side of the parkway to another, and they were like the flood overflow tunnels, that drained out the highways. So,
well, listen, brother, let me let you take a peek real quick here. I didn't get to one question or note that I had for today's show. listen, what we're gonna do. I'll get back to you with some open dates. I think I'm booking now for April and March, April, maybe May.
Okay.
I'm booked till then. I gotta have you back for a part two for two reasons. One, I feel so bad that I wasn't able to figure out your audio issue in the beginning of the show. I know you probably talked about and said some things that maybe some people missed, and that's a shame. So I want to make sure I have you back for that reason, but two, because there's so much more that you and I have to cover it. I pray every day that he gets discovered and it's not going to be detrimental or harmful to the species, because I have a lifelong ongoing bet with a vet friend of mine who totally believes it's nonsense. But if they prove the existence, I get a lifetime supply of tacos. He will send, yeah, he'll send me like a $20, $25, $50 gift certificate to like Taco Bell every month on the month from New Orleans for the rest of my life if they finally prove his existence. And I'm so on board with that. But I will have you back because I can just feel everybody out there that tuned in, mostly either diehard skeptics or people that are like you and I, totally believe that this creature exists, and they probably all want you back too. Because, like I said, an hour is not long enough for you and I. You and I should do a series.
Yeah,
because we know so many people.
I'm up for it.
You know, we can, if Sharon's available, we can bring her on. You and I know so many people that could contribute to a series. You and I can co-host it together and bring somebody else on and do a series on this. But it's something that needs to continue to be addressed and talked about, and it's a series. It's not me getting together with you once every 2-3 months for an hour. That ain't gonna cut it. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed what little we were able to bring to the table with this discussion today. You know I love you, brother. Thank you so much for spending an hour out of your busy Friday. Take care of your family. Stay healthy. Keep everybody healthy and safe. I will throw you some open dates here before this weekend is over. Have you back sometime this summer, and we'll work on maybe putting together a series for this, because when I announced you were coming on, a lot of people reached out to me excited about it, and they want to see more. Of course, these are the diehards, and that's okay. They want to see more talking about it.
Sure.
And maybe I can even bring a couple of my indigenous friends on who are
absolutely. That would be great.
They're very tight-lipped about all of it, but maybe I can, maybe somehow I can persuade them to come on and tell.
Yeah, I've got some indigenous friends as well, and you know, from natives, and they've told me some great stories as well. So,
all right, brother, you take care. I will be talking to you real soon. Okay.
All right.
God bless you, brother.
Right. Take care,
brothers and sisters. Karl Sup. I apologize for the technical difficulty for the first half hour of the show. It is what it is. It's one of those things, but at least the second half of the show, he came in crystal clear. And remember, guys, lower the volume on the mic. Who knows if that did it? Apparently it did. But I will be back next Friday. Yes, I know, it's Good Friday. So not only is that the day that Jesus was crucified, but my show is going to be live on the air at the time Jesus was crucified. So it's a very special episode for me. It was a no-brainer who to bring on. I have two guests coming on next Friday. Husband and wife. They are world-renowned spirit medium channels. Critically acclaimed authors, Barry and Connie Strom. They'll be here live to channel whatever spirits, and there's probably going to be some members from the Holy Family that want to come through and give us some special messages that we probably all need to hear for Good Friday. So that'll be next Friday, April 2nd at 2 p.m. Pacific. I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in tonight. I don't have a show without all of you. A big shout out to my beautiful, passionate, talented producer, Adrian Hart, aka Ghost Granny, founder or co-founder or one of the founding members of Desert Heart Paranormal, and a co-owner of the Paranormal United Network. And I want to give them a shout out for simulcasting my show on all of their social media platforms. Guys, go over to the Paranormal United Network's Facebook Live page. Check out their lineup of shows. A lot of great shows over there, a lot better than mine. So if you like my show, you'll love some of the shows over there. I highly recommend you go and check out their lineup. And I don't know what else to say to you guys other than stop the violence, stop the anger. Anger is just a punishment we put on ourselves for somebody else's mistake. And on that note, good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless each and every one of you.